into it. You guys get in here, man. If you ain't in here already, give you guys a few seconds to get in. Um, it is Sunday, man. Sunday, spiritual, sanctified Sunday. You are with the Spree on the podcast show, The Spree Speaks. It is a pleasure to be seen and not viewed on this Sunday afternoon. Um, I was blessed and fortunate enough to get up and be able to attend service what I hadn't been in a long time. So it felt good to be able to go and be there in the service. So today, man, we gonna get off into this time and issue and this time frame, rather. And so, for my mic, I don't know what I did with it. But anyway, how much time do we really have left? How much time? How much time is on our clock? And even more importantly, are we really ready to leave here? Um, you know, I processed something today, and the question that always seems to come to mind is God real? There are a lot of people who would question um, if there really is a God. But I'll tell you what, I'm not even going to get into that aspect of it. I'm going to simply say this: death is real. Death is a real thing. The one thing that we do know, that we can definitely be rest assured of, is that we're going to die. One of these days, we're going to have to leave. So, if we know that death is a reality, how much time is left? How much time do we really have to meander across this universe and do the things that we're doing? And once we get to a point to where obviously we don't know how much time is left, but once we get to a point to where we start processing the time frame, what's left? The next question becomes, am I really ready to leave here? So when I ask that question, obviously to me, I'm not a pastor or preacher, any of that. I don't profess to be. I don't claim to be. These are merely my thoughts. That's all it is. And so with that being said, it's always weird to me when we lose somebody. people's mindset starts to shift. Anytime you lose a loved one or a friend or somebody that's close to you, you start processing things differently. Even if it's not only before a day or a couple of days or a week, you start processing. Wow, what happened? Man, life is short. You start having these conversations with yourself. And here's the thing. There is a difference between losing somebody who is 80, 70, 90, 100 versus losing somebody who's 20 or 30. A child or 40, 50. Because you think a person who lives to be 70 or 80, they've experienced that, they've lived their life, they've experienced everything that there is to see. But you realize, even when you lose a person at 80, you're not ready to let them go. You lose your mom is 85, or your dad or your uncle, a friend, you still not ready to let them go. So imagine, just imagine, you knowing how much time was left. Just imagine for a second, you knew I have X amount of time left. You're still not ready. You plan the service, you can put everything, you know how they say, get your orders in the fair, get your things lined up. You can do all that you want to do. But you'll find you're still not ready to leave here. So when you process that, the only people that I see, that I have seen, who are really ready to leave, are people who have completely given their lives over and have lived, not in years, but in faith. Those people are ready. They ready. You ever hear people saying, I'm just tired. I'm ready. But the loved ones are the ones who are holding on because they're not ready. They're not ready. They're holding on to the selfishness of they're not prepared to live life without them being there. But those people have already made up their mind. They're ready. They're comfortable. They're okay with the outcome. But you're not ready. You're not okay with the outcome because you ain't ready. You're not fully equipped to understand the reality until the reality happens. See, we can talk about it. I'm my faith is strong, and I believe God gonna take care of me, and I'm gonna leave it in God's hands. That sounds good until He come knocking. It sounds really good until He actually show up, and you on the bed of affliction, and it's your turn. You're not ready. So how much time will it take to get you ready? A year, 2 years, 15, 20, a lifetime. Will you be ready then? See, I've learned in this lifetime, man, that even when you prepare the best, and even when you plan things still don't work out the way you planned. They still don't. You know, I sit in this office and I sit behind this desk and y'all can't see it, but I can see it. I have a picture that sits on my shelf of my grandmother. Right? Actually, it's two pictures. They side by side. One, she's at a fishing creek, and the other, she's sitting on the sofa. And each time I sit, I put it there for a reason, because each time I sit here, I see it. I can look up and I can see it. And each time I see it, it reminds me of her and things that she's instilled and taught me. You know, some people can look at a photograph and immediately tears start coming out. They start crying because the pain is still there. I don't have those pains because many years ago, her and I had a conversation. And I never forget this. Her and I had a conversation. You know, she had got sickly. And I remember coming home and saying, man, the Lord better take you before he take me. I mean, take me before he take you. And I remember her saying, why? You don't have no say in the matter. Just know whenever the Lord decides to call me, I'm okay. And I heard her, but it didn't really resonate, probably then, at that particular moment, until after she actually passed away. And so that's a thing that I always recollect on. You know, I didn't do a bunch of grieving. Didn't do a lot of. I don't even think I cried at the service. I didn't do a show and a bunch of hoopla, and you know how we do when we lose people. There's a big show and a bunch of hoopla going on and a bunch of tears and and not to say it shouldn't be tears. I'm just saying sometimes we can go overboard with it. But I didn't do that because one, my relationship with her was strong. The love that I had for her was pure. We had many conversations about different things. And so, though I was not ready for her to leave, I was okay with it. I understood it. And so it's almost the same when you start looking at your relationship with people, right? Some people have a stronger relationship than others. Some people relationship, we're not even gonna get into your relationship with God because that's a whole nother animal. But some people's relationship can cause them to grieve for an extensive period of time, right? You can lose somebody, and 5 years later, you still grieving. Yeah, it can happen. It can happen because your relationship was in disarray when they left. And so, when you process how much time is left, the real question becomes, how valuable is the time that's left? How do I make the most out of the time that I have left? That should be the real question, right? What do I do now with the time that I have left? Many of us have lost people, and you know what's crazy is we lose them. The first thing we do is we start trying to process if they were sick? What did they die from? How old were they? We start asking all these questions, right? Because we're trying to figure out if we okay. Do we need to go get a checkup? Do we need, how old is it? Well, man, we around the same age. Do we need to do something different to ensure it's not our turn? But the reality is, you don't have a say. You can be the healthiest person on the planet and leave here just like that. You can be the sickest person on the planet and live for 20 more years, because it's not up to you to decide. The ball's not in your court. So the thing we need to do is we need to evaluate how we value our time, how we proceed in managing our time. Because guess what? Death seems to always show up when you're not expecting it. Don't it? Unless you had somebody that's been sick, or you knew that it was coming, it always seems to show up when we don't expect it. You always seem to get a phone call or a thing on Facebook or alert saying, rest in peace, or this person left, or this happened. Death seems to always come knocking when you don't want to be home. Right? So we have to get into a mindset where we got to start valuing our time. We got to start appreciating our time, because guess what? We live in a world now. We just assume we're supposed to have it. We live in a world we just assume we're supposed to wake up. I'm gonna automatically wake up. I'm automatically gonna be able to go to work. I'm automatically gonna be able to have money. I'm automatically gonna be able to do this and do that. That ain't the case. Ain't nothing to guarantee. Nothing's a guarantee. Nothing is a guarantee. I heard something said today that stuck with me, and I probably can't get it quoted word for word, but I think it was something to the effect of, God knows how to get your attention. He knows. Whether it's directly to you, or through somebody else, or through an event, or through however, he knows how to open your eyes for you to see what he wants you to see. Now, sometimes you may have some glasses and shades on and you may not want to see it, but the reality is you see it. You don't acknowledge that you see it, but you saw it. It's like a text message. Somebody sends you a text message. Guess what? You can leave the text on read, but you saw it. You saw it. You don't have to reply to it. You don't even have to push a button to acknowledge that you read it. But guess what? You saw it. You saw it. We don't have to get into the ins and outs of is he really, that don't matter. The one thing that you know that's real is death. You're going to have to leave here sometime. Just as sure as you come out of the womb, you already come out of the womb expiring. You enter into the world with an expiration date. So whether you believe whoever, whatever, however, you know for sure you're going to have to leave. So knowing that, a lot of times we don't take the end game serious enough. We just don't, myself included. We take for granted that we're going to wake up the next day. We take for granted that we're going to be able to go and play this basketball game. We take for granted that we're going to be able to tell our kids we love them. We take for granted a lot of things that people who are less fortunate or don't have. We take those things for granted because we just assume we're just going to be here. We just assume that. Never realizing today could really be your day. Today could really be the day it all comes to a halt. But again, we don't process that. We don't process that. We just live in a way where we just assume it's automatic. We're on automatic pilot, not realizing we not even flying the plane. We just passengers. So take that with you on this good Sunday. Um, Process it. Let it resonate. And once you've allowed that to resonate, then you decide how you go forward. Then you decide what's next. You decide how you move, with that information. But I can tell you this, you don't have to be ready for it to come for it to come. You don't have to be prepared for it to come for it to come. And on the flip side, you can be prepared for it and still not be ready for it to come. I'm your boy, man. I'm the Spree. This is the Spree Speaks. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, man. We out.